Mind Your Biz, JP Morgan, I remember from the stock game, hey, this is our target. Then you read later that they said that, but they was dumping the whole time, even though it was below. We saw a lot of chicanery involving all, their analysis and what they price predicted.
It's a beautiful $5 word, DZ. Chicanery. Keep it up.
Yeah. Check it out. It was my word of the day. That's all it was. It was on my little calendar. What is your take on that? Do you think that, they're telling the truth with their analysis, that they imply, that 38 is the fair value, or are they trying to wreck traders here?
Well, first off, I appreciate you having me back on the channel. It's always a pleasure being with my friends from the Bit Squad and being with such incredibly intelligent, bright, and outgoing people. Really, this is a highlight to my week, so thanks for having me back. But I am taking the stance that you are, DZ. I really do think that this is a question of us needing to see what the other hand is doing. I think that groups like JP Morgan, I think like all of the major institutional and the institutional investors and the VC groups, I think that they will do and say anything to avoid us breaking the sailor line. I think that right now they have bags to protect, and they've had bags to protect over the last year that have put us into a strange channel of manipulation that Bitcoin has never faced before. Prior to this point, prior to this bull run, there just wasn't a high enough market cap to be able to sustain all of their activity. But since we've gone past the previous all-time high of 2017 and crossed into that 20K plus territory, they're seeing, with dollar signs in their eyes, yeah, actually, we can pretty tidily fit our bags into this Bitcoin thing. What can we do to manipulate it so we don't lose, right? The house always wins, and institutional money is the house. Let's just call it what it is, right? That's who we're up against now. And make no mistake about it, they're saying this, and that may get people kind of perma-bullish, but they are the enemy. I can't be any more clear than that, DZ. We're hearing this from people who do not like us and don't want us as retail to win. That's my take on that news.
2 seconds later.
Every time they said this institution, it's different narrative in 2018 too. Futures, December 2017, first futures contracts. Now it's different. Nope. Went the same bear market. ETF, when an ETF is approved, it's going to be different. ETF approved, that was top of the market. It wasn't different.
Ben, we haven't had this percentage. We haven't had this percentage owned by VC groups though, ever before. It's just it really is genuinely different from how we've sliced the pie. It's genuinely different.
You're right, but it was much different in 2017 than it was in 2013.
Well, Seth, on that note, I agree with Ben. I think we all agree 5-10 years from now, the CBDC landscape is going to be wild, but they're talking about 5 to 10 months. I believe it was Roberto Neto is the central bank governor of Brazil, and he said it could be launched in the second half of 2022. What kind of realistic time frame are you giving, though? I mean, is that possible? Are we going to see a Brazilian CBDC this year?
Hey, if you know Brazilian people like I know Brazilian people, do not bet against them bringing a product to market fast. Because the Brazilian people are industrious. The Brazilian people take no as a challenge. They just think it means not now. And if you tell them impossible, they're going to come back and say, oh yeah, look at our flag. Ordem e progresso. We will get there eventually. So I don't know. I take exception to that. I think they're going to make it happen because they're really looking for something that's, like, again, a minimum viable product. They're not looking for a finished product. They're not looking for something that's going to replace the Brazilian real right now, today. In 5 months, are they going to be using this in the streets? Probably not. Are there going to be certain government organizations that accept taxes with it? Maybe, as a test. But it also bears mentioning that this is only one of 9 different branches of development for a broader call for development of a CBDC in Brazil. So while XLM is going to be used as kind of one of these minimum viable product CBDC projects, it's not going to be the only one, right? So it's going to be one of just shy of a dozen different attempts at making a CBDC that Brazil could use. And that's just all going to be presented in 5 months. So do I think it's possible? Absolutely. Do I think there's a country in the world that can do it in that time? If there's one, it's Brazil, for sure.
All right.
If you ask me, it's, that's happening.
Got the Mind Your Biz seal of approval there. Mind Your Biz, Netflix obviously having some issues. They had a very rough quarter. I think their first loss into subscribers, I believe, ever. They lost 200,000. stock is tanking. I think it's down roughly 75%. I don't know where it's been the last couple of days.
It's because they removed Russian users, by the way. That's why they if they didn't remove Russian users, they would have gained. I think that's a very important point. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
I don't know, man. I think maybe they left one too many cuties on their platform too. But maybe that's
a whole nother. That's a whole nother episode. That's a whole
read between the lines.
Mind your biz, though. Do you see Web3 kind of serving as a saving grace for Netflix? You know, maybe open up some new revenue streams. Do you think they'll embrace this technology, or is this just kind of a one-off thing with that TV show?
I think right now it's a one-off thing. And if it's actually produced by Netflix, I wouldn't exactly call it a Hail Mary, right? There's so many other things that Netflix could do. First things first, Netflix as a streaming media platform, they own so much data about our viewing habits. Shows like The Walking Dead, we may have noticed, like, it debuted on AMC, and I realize I'm kind of off in the weeds here. I promise I'll pull us back around in a second. Shows like The Walking Dead that debuted on AMC and then went to these streaming platforms like Netflix, they gathered so much information about how long we will, endure a certain shot, or how many boring, filler episodes that will endure in the middle of a season's playlist, right? The whole run length for a season. And so Netflix has been able to turn the art of media consumption, long form media consumption, like miniseries and TV shows and even these movies, into something that they can play us like a fiddle. They know exactly what our attention span is. So like Ben was saying before, where we got TikTok on the one hand, totally eating away our attention span. You got Netflix with, at this point, like millions of man hours, right, and of consumer hours that they've been able to study and run through these AIs and figure out what the algorithms are, how they can tug at our heartstrings, how they can tug at our purse strings, get us to do things like buy stuff and do product placement and all this other stuff. So I don't think that right now they're pulling this out with in partnership with OpenSea as like a Hail Mary. I don't really think that Netflix needs that from the market or from us. But I do think, it is a test. And I do think that if it goes well, that we could possibly see more, not only from Netflix, but from all the other major players like Hulu and Amazon Prime and all the other major streaming platforms, HBO Max and the rest. So, I think this is a sign of things to come.
And it looks like Mind Your Biz took it home. Mind Your Biz, feel free. Leave us with some parting thoughts as we ride off into the sunset.
Wow, guys. First off, thanks for having me back on the channel. It's so much fun being here on Around the Blockchain with the Bit Squad and everybody, all these great creators across YouTube. Just a reminder that, what makes this show so much fun to be on and to talk here in this forum is that there's such a diversity of opinions. So if you're not subscribed to everybody here, I think you as an audience, you're missing out. Sub.myb.lol, and obviously follow everybody else you saw on screen. That's what I got. Thanks, guys.
Follow all the people. Make sure you follow Frankie Candles, going live shortly, Meta Money, and of course, NFT Alpha. And that is all we have time today, Bit Squad. Peace out.
All right.